A 10-year study conducted by the American Heart Association provided data on how age, blood pressure, and smoking relate to the risk of strokes. Risk is interpreted as the probability times 100 that the patient will have a stroke over the next 10-year period. For the smoking variable, we've defined a dummy variable with 1 indicating a smoker and 0 indicating a non-smoker. Here's a matrix plot of the dataset where the blue points represent non-smokers and the red points represent smokers. First, develop an estimated regression equation that relates risk of a stroke to the person's age, blood pressure, and whether the person is a smoker. So here's the regression equation that Minitab gives us using those 3 independent variables x1, x2, and x3. Is smoking a significant factor in the risk of a stroke? Explain. Use alpha equal 0.05. So here we're testing whether the population regression parameter in front of x3 could be 0. In other words, the null hypothesis is beta 3 equals 0 and the alternative is beta 3 not equal to 0. So to calculate our t-statistic, we'll need the B3, which is 8.74, and then the standard error for B3, which is 3.00. The ratio of those comes to 2.91, so that's the t-statistic. And then to find the p-value associated with that t-statistic, we're going to use a t-distribution with 16 degrees of freedom, and 2.583 has a 0.01 upper tail, whereas 2.921 has a 0.005 upper tail. So remember that this is a two-tail test we're doing, so 2.91 will have a p-value that's in between 2 times 0.005 or 0.01 and 2 times 0.01 or 0.02. Alternatively, we can simply read the value from the Minitab output, and it's 0.010 to 3 decimal places. So either way, it's less than 0.05, which was our significance level alpha. So we reject the null hypothesis in favor of the alternative hypothesis and conclude that smoking is a significant risk factor in the risk of a stroke. What is the probability of a stroke over the next 10 years for Art Speen, a 68-year-old smoker who has blood pressure of 175? What action might the physician recommend for this patient? So we're going to plug in 68 for age and 175 for blood pressure and 1 for the smoking variable because Art Speen is a smoker. So if we do all that, then we get 34.3 for the point estimate for the probability of a stroke. And remember, this is being expressed as a percentage, so it's a 34.3% chance of this fellow having a stroke. If we use Minitab to find the prediction interval for this individual, the lower bound comes to 21.3 and the upper bound comes to 47.2. So there's a pretty good chance that this particular patient will have a stroke in the next 10 years, and so the physician is almost certainly going to suggest that he stops smoking and perhaps takes measures to try and reduce his blood pressure.